to pick each of the pictures one by one and fine-tune it. So we are going to talk about it. I promise I've been in an hour or less. We should be able to grab a few things in this topic. So let's get it on. Now, I'm going to be following a little bit of the slide. Then I'm also going to make some of my own personal inputs. Photo editing and post-processing. A great photo is rarely finished in the camera. What the camera captures is only the raw material. Editing is where you recover lost light, correct colors, not the camera. It's the editor's eye and workflow. This is true. This is true. However, I want to point out something. Yeah, good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening. You're welcome to this class. You're welcome. You're welcome. I can see Ibrahim just joined. Stella Maris just joined. Oge Ogonye Anele Rita Chidenya, you are all welcome. You're all welcome. All right, let's get back. So I was about saying something. Photography for me is 80%. So sorry for that. Um, Photography is 80% camera work and 20% editing. You know, we all believe that once we finish, it is in editing. That is where we will kill someone, we'll scatter somebody's head. But my own philosophy is to get it right from the from the photo shoot. That I do not need to do much in my editing. As a matter of fact, I don't I spend less time on my pictures. All I do sometimes is control exposure, check highlights and shadows, balance my colors, and that is it. It's only when it comes to something like beauty that I try to go in depth. So just bear this in mind. The difference between a flat photo and a powerful one is often not in the camera, it's in the editor's eye and workflow. Please balance that thought. It is 80% camera, it is 20% editing stroke workflow. Thank you. Please forgive my voice once again. So, for chapter one, the foundation. What is photo editing and post processing actually mean? Photo editing is the process of adjusting an image after capture to improve exposure, color contrast, framing, detail, and overall visual impact. It's about refining what the camera recorded into what you intended to communicate. This is a very robust definition, and I agree with it. Post processing, a broader workflow that encompasses everything after capture: importing, organizing, coiling, correcting, retouching, grading, exporting, and preparing files for print, web, or client delivery. In Lightroom, tools center on white balance, tonal scale, color masking, and detail. In Photoshop, masks, layers, and smart objects support deeper, non-destructive work. So In post processing, it's on a very wider scale. I don't use Lightroom personally. When I import my files, I use Capture One. So my movement is Capture One to Photoshop, Photoshop and back to Capture One. Yes. Yes, yes, Miss Rita Chineye. It's actually 80% camera. Once you are able to get your lighting, get your composition, use the correct lens, make sure that you are on point with your setup. You will find your editing most interesting and hmm, so so sorry if you're not seeing the shared screen. Forgive me on that. Um I just brought it up. Thank you. So sorry for those that weren't seeing the shared screen. Thank you. My apologies on that. It's back on. So, let's move over. There are 5 goals of post processing. Post processing is not just about making pictures look nice. Every adjustment should serve one of the 5 core purposes: correct problems, restore dynamic range, direct attention, create consistency, and create style. So let's pick the first one. When it comes to correcting problems, you fix exposure, white balance, lens distortion, noise and softness, the technical failures between reality and what the sensor captured. So those are the things that you get to correct. Sometimes the picture is a little bit underexposed from the right side. So how do you use your shadows to balance and your light and dark side? How do you balance it out? So now, when it comes to restore dynamic range, it means recover lost highlights, open crushed shadows, and balance the tonal range the camera could not hold in a single exposure. Now, this is where I'm, I'm so sorry to say this, so I know I'm going to break a lot of hearts, but I this is where the camera brand like Nikon outshines other brands. Most Nikon cameras have the best dynamic range, the ability to recover lost highlights. Like when you take a picture using the Nikon, you will understand. You will understand. I'm not saying that Canon doesn't, but I'm saying that this is what it is known for. I have shot all cameras, be it Sony, be it Canon, be it Nikon, be it Fuji. Okay, another camera brand is Fujifilm. When it comes to restoration of highlights and shadows, they really, really outshine. Okay, thanks to them. I speak for myself though. I know there are Canon users that are here. They have their own opinion. Yes. So let's get back. Direct attention. They brighten the subject, darken distractions, shape contrast, simplify the frame so the viewer's eye goes directly where you intended. When it comes to creating consistency, make a full set of photos match in color and tone, essential for client deliveries, galleries, and editorial spreads. Color grading, mood, texture, and emotional tone. This is the difference between correction and creative interpretation. Please Let's all take note of this. Correction and grading. Correction first, yes, and I agree with this. Correction means making the image technically neutral and accurate, fixing white balance, normalizing exposure, removing cast. Think of it as cleaning the canvas before painting. Adobe defines correction as making the image neutral before any creative decisions is applied. So, while the grading is the grading adds um creative look after the image is technically sound. So, in other words, after you must have finished with color correction, you now go straight to the you now go straight into the color grading. So after you must have fixed the white balance issue, exposure normalization, removing of color cast, lens distortion, you now can start splitting tones, cinematic color grades, mood-based tonal shift, and stylized vignettes. So keeping correction and grading mentally separate helps you avoid over editing. Now, this is where a whole lot of us make a huge mistake. To think that we must we must edit and then the subject becomes plastic. You must strike a balance. You must create that balance. It's very important. So this is the editing mindset, the flow of order, coil, crop, white balance, exposure, contrast. The biggest mistakes beginners make is editing randomly. Strong editing are a deliberate sequence because tone and color decisions affect everything that comes after. Here is a reliable professional order. Well, as I said, for me, I use a different platform, so certain things don't really but this is the basic principle. I still follow these basic principles, but I may not do it the same order, but I still follow them. You must understand the basic principles. So sorry, please. So, file types, there are JPEGs and there are RAWs. Now, when you shoot RAW when possible. RAW files preserve far more data for white balance changes, highlights, highlight recovery, and tonal adjustments. Adobe's non-destructive workflows in in Lightroom and Camera Raw are, are especially powerful with powerful files. So sorry, these are too much details, but the thing is, it is best to shoot in RAW. When you really want to do good editing work, always shoot in RAW. When you shoot with JPEG, it's more or less like a finished work. It's more or less like a finished work. So whenever you're shooting, please put your settings to RAW so that you can get every detail in the picture when you send it to Lightroom or any software that you deem fit to use. you are able to have enough data to work with. Non-destructive editing, the professional standard. Destructive editing permanently changes the original pixel. Once saved, the editing cannot be undone. Common in older workflows or when flexing files without backup, the original data is gone. Non-destructive edit preserve the original image and stores instructions instead of altering pixels. When you over edit, the picture becomes plastic. You lose a lot of pixel, you lose a lot of detail, you lose sharpness. It becomes too like something that was baked. The professional rule: edit in a way you can revise later. Always maintain a path back to the original. There is a workflow where is a workflow that pops up during Photoshop. Always take note of your sequences. At every stage, if you when you make a mistake, go back to your sequence and check and see where you got it wrong. Then go back there and correct it. Now, essential to the histogram, reading tones at a glance. The histogram shows how tones are distributed by dark left to the to bright right. It helps you see clipping and imbalance faster than your eyes alone. Use it as a guide throughout your entire editing. So if you look at the picture well, you will see the editor looking at the histogram picture. So the left side packed hard. Shadows may be crushed. You have lost dark details. The right side packed hard. Highlights may be blown. Bright details is gone. Balanced histogram. A guide, not a guarantee of a great image. Content matters. Now, for me, I don't read histograms. Like I don't use histograms to read my pictures. I only look at them. I only look at the histogram and see what it is, then go straight to my work. It's essential, but for me, I don't I don't really have to go over those details. So white balance, color temperature control. What it does. White balance controls the overall color temperature of the image. Too orange, cool it down. Too blue, warm it up. Now, I want to say something here. You now see why I said it is 80% camera and 20% editing. Because things like white balance can be adjusted in camera first. It can be worked on. You can fine tune it. You can fine tune it in camera. That when you now take it to editing, you don't even need to do much again. So Adobe recommends identifying something in the scene that should be neutral, gray, or white. Then adjusting temperature and tint until it reads as neutral. How to use it. Remove unwanted colors cast from artificial lighting. Create time of day realism in outdoor images. Okay. Yes. Mohammed, you asked if orange means warm environment. Yes, it's a sign. Yes, it means warm environment. Tungsten. Tungsten light. That tungsten light is a warm light. Do you understand? It's a warm light. So it's kind of orange in color. It's a mixture, if you recall, in your color wheel, when you mix red with orange, what you red with yellow, what you will get is orange. So that's it. Set emotional tone before any grading begins. So emotional temperature. White balance is one of the most emotional powerful tool in your kit. A warm white balance often feels nostalgic, intimate, or late afternoon. A cooler balance can feel clinical, rainy or lonely, or strikingly mundane, modern. Set it intentionally, not just technically. Set it intentionally. Now, everything about your editing must be intentional. It must follow a process. It must follow your process from the moment you start shooting. When you get, you must have documented how you want the style to be, how you want the style of your edit to be. Whether you want it on a cooler space or whether you want it on a warmer space, on a warm space. So, excuse me. Exposure and tonal controls. The globe, that's the global foundation. One, exposure. It sets the overall brightness of the image. Get it close, but don't obsess the other sliders. Don't don't obsess. The other sliders will refine it. Contrast, add separation between light and dark tones. Be careful not to cross shadows or blue highlights with an aggressive punch. I believe we are all familiar with these things on editing. Highlights and shadows. Pull highlights down if bright areas are too harsh. Raise shadows to recover details in dark areas. These are recovery tools first. This is now this number 3 is the first thing you need to do. Number 1 and 3 is the first thing you need to do for in every picture. Then you now go to contrast. Then white and black. Adjust white for clean, controlled highlights to the very top of the range. Adjust black to add depth and true contrast at the bottom. Now, tone curve, color control, and masking. Tone curve gives more refined control than the basic contrast slider. Use it for gentle contrast shaping, matte blacks, cinematic fades, and channel specific color shifts. Apply it exposure after your basic exposure is roughly correct. Color controls. Color controls. Walk through color in this order. Use vibrance first for safer color enrichment. Use saturation carefully. Use HCL. Use HCL. That is hues and what HCL means is hues and saturation. Hue, saturation, and light. That's what HCL is. To target specific problem colors, and grade shadows, midtones, and highlights separately for mood using the color grading panel. Now, masking and local adjustment. This is where good edit becomes great edit. Global edit after the whole image. Local edit. Local edit changes only when you select. Use mask and brush. All right. What will happen is I have a video for this. I have a video for this that at the end, when we are done with this entire theory, I would play the video. I don't know if you all got if my last video was sent to the group. I don't know if that is the case. Please, can we signify the video I played? I don't know if the video was sent to the group in our last class, please. Can we indicate? Is anyone responding? I think how you can join the group, I think you should meet the organizers of the program. If you have not been added, they should be able to add you. So let's move. Sharpening, noise reduction, and length correction. Sharpening restores clarity without creating ugly halos. Apply late in the workflow because earlier tone changes after perceived sharpness. Calibrate sharpening to the output, lighter for web, more aggressive for print. Noise reduction. Calm grain without destroying detail. Applied best after tonal work is complete. Modern AI-powered noise reduction tools preserve edge details for far better than old luminance-based approaches. So all these theories are what you have to go through, the processes of what you need to observe when you are editing. This is a professional's workflow. Please, let's take a good look at it. From import and organization to crop and straighten, white balance, um, set exposure, balance dynamic range, refine contrast, refine color, local adjustments, retouch, and export calibrated. So this sequence. Following this sequence prevents common errors. Tonal decisions made directly after how color and local adjustments will read later in the process. So please let us take note of all this. Is like this. To import, organize, and call. Why calling comes first. Do not waste time editing weak images. The discipline core saves hours of editing time and keeps your portfolio tight. Only invest editing efforts in images worth showing. The best photographers are ruthless selectors before they are skilled editors. Yes, I make sure that organization best practices. Rename files logically by date and shoot name. Add folders or collections immediately on import. Backup at least 2 locations before editing. Rate or flag select Rate of flag selects using stars or color labels. Yes. Like when I finish a shoot and I set it up on Capture One, I tell my clients anyone they like that they should press 5. So 5 is like the number of stars. Mm. So crop, straighten, establish tonal balance. Crop and straighten early. Explaining the crop and tonal work forms because crop changes your composition and subtly affects how tone feels. Ask what is the subject, what can be removed, is the horizontal level is the horizontal level, does this crop strengthen the emotional read? Set your white balance, color, correct color cards before anything else. Establish overall exposure with cover shapes. When adjustments are retouching, where storytelling, this is where storytelling happens. You can see in the picture now that the editor has now moved into Photoshop proper. So local adjustments with mask, use mask and brushes to tell the viewers where to go. Brighten the eyes, lift the subject from the background, darken busy corners, control hotspots. This level of control is what separates a technically correct image from one that moves a viewer. Retouching tasks, remove blemishes and stray hairs, remove distracting background objects, fix wrinkles in clothing, smooth and clean up backgrounds, dot and bond to sculpt facial shape. Photoshop is the strongest here due to its layers, masks, and smart subjects, giving you maximum flexibility and reversibility. So, um, Jamilia asked a question that apart from dullness and shaking, what else makes an image weak? I will answer this by saying poor lighting and posing. Poor lighting and posing, it makes the picture weak. So, how to edit different types of photography? For portraits, excuse me, focus on skin tone, eyes, face brightness, and background separations. Keep natural skin texture. Avoid over smoothing. Use soft local dodge and burn instead of heavy retouching. For landscape, prioritize white balance accuracy, dynamic range management, color separation, and micro contrast. Avoid oversaturated skies and grass. They quickly look grayish rather than dramatic. Weddings, consistency across many images is the main challenge. Protect highlights in white dress and dark suits. Manage skin tones across mixed indoor and outdoor lighting efficiently with batch editing. Now, these are things you can adjust in camera. You can get right in camera. Street and documentary preserve realism above all else. Subtle grading and emotional clarity matter more than technical perfection. Over retouching destroys the authenticity that makes documentary work powerful. So editing process, common mistakes and best practices. Common mistakes over smoothing, over smoothing, over whitening of eyes and teeth. This is the one mistake. This is another thing that a lot of us editors do. We think that the eyes must be white. It must be white, very, very white. No, that's not true. You are killing the authenticity of the image, the originality of the image. You understand? Some aims, me personally, if it is, I touch the eyes, but I drop my opacity. I drop my opacity a little bit so that it doesn't look plastic. Especially when I know that the eyes is hiding orange skin tones from warming the image without checking skin hue independently. We have that they'll say that I'm color grading. You see someone that will now go and increase saturation, then the picture will now be over orange. Too much clarity on the face, you know. So best practices. Um Correct skin color to not neutral before stylizing. Reduce background distractions with masking using soft, low opacity dot and bond for contouring. Preserve pores and natural skin texture. Change the image zoomed out. Subtlety always wins. So dodge and bond, the most powerful retouching method. Uh, I use frequency separation or I use frequency separation. Yes. And people that dodge and bond work for. But I personally I use frequency separation. So what is it? Dodge and bond means lightning selectively. Bond means darkening selectively. Together, these tools give you a surgical control over light and shadow at the pixel level. What to use it for? Shape and sculpt facial structures, deepen the jawline for definition, brighten and open the eyes, emphasize texture in landscapes or products, guide the viewer's eye through the frame. So, okay, good. You can now see where they talk about frequency separation and advanced skin retouching. This is what I use. Although I still do a lot of touch and dot, I still do dot and bond after I'm done with frequency for separations. Not always though. How it work? Frequency separation divide image, excuse me, into two layers. One containing the high frequency details, that's texture, pores, spine line, and one containing the low frequency information, color, tone, and blotchiness. This allows you to fix on even skin color, tone without touching the texture layer at all, preserving looking skin while correcting unevenness. Now, please use with restraint. Use with restraint. A lot of us will come, even the size of our brush, we open it, and the picture will just look like one zombie. Total separation is a powerful but dangerous. Is powerful but dangerous. It is a technique most often responsible for the plastic skin, which is what I said. Look, plastic skin, look that makes your touch portrait look fake. Use it only when needed, typically for uneven skin tones, color blotching, and strong blemishes. Always preserve realism. If natural texture disappears, you have gone too far. Excuse me. Mm, Daubra, we will discuss this question much later. I will answer you. Batch editing. efficiency without laziness. When it works so well, batch editing works best when light conditions are consistent, camera settings are similar across the set, and scenes come from the same control setup. Edit one image well, then sync the settings to similar images. So that is now what it means is that you can copy if your images and settings follow the same consistency. You can simply copy the same editing process from one image and spread it to the rest of the images. It saves you time. So develop the right mindset for batch editing is a tool for efficiency, not an excuse for skipping individual attention. Always review synced images one by one and adjust out layers. Consistency is the goal, not uniformity at the expense of quality. So please take notes. Scene referred versus display referred workflow. Beginners don't beginners don't need to obsess over this distinction, but advanced editors who want more predictable results, especially with exposure and color, benefit from understanding and working scene referred. And what is scene referred? Scene referred edit edits happen in a physically realistic linear RGB space. Tone compression Tone compression comes later in the pipeline, not at the beginning. This approach, strongly promoted by Darktable documentation, can be more robust and predictable. Tools like Filmic RGB and Color Balance RGB operate in this space with closer to how light physically behaves. Now, display referred edit happens in a space already adapted to look correct on a display. This is the more traditional intuitive approach. What you see is closer to what you get. Most beginners work display referred without realizing it. Lightroom and Photoshop operate primarily on this space. So, six, color theory. You can't grade well if you don't understand color relationships. These principles are the foundation of every intentional color decision you make in edit. Warm color advance. Warm tones feel closer. You, someone asks what is bluntness. Um, bluntness. How do I explain it? How do I'm looking for the right when you tend to cover up something, like where something is covered up, when you tend to overlayer, I think that would be a better way to explain it. Okay, yes, sorry. It means having an uneven on or discolored patches on the face. That's what bluntness is. Those irregulars when in someone like Someone that has acne, skin acne, that has skin acne on her face, or that can be that can be described as bluntness. Do you understand? When you have some irregularities, when you have some irregularities on your face, that can be described as bluntness. So I don't know if I've answered that. I don't know if I've answered that question. Please, if I have to indicate, so that we get back to our slide. All right. So one call similar hues in harmony. Um, Analog color palettes feel unified and calm, great for portraits, fashion, and atmospheric landscape work. That's hues. Complementary equals contrast. Opposite hues on the color will create visual tensions, and dynamic energy. Teal and orange is the most famous example in cinemas. Teal is orange-like, but it's a kind of it's it's lighter, it's lighter, it's lighter. Yes, Suleiman. When we use concealer, not concealer to really cover up certain things, that is what that is what those things that we use concealer to cover up bluntness of the face, the irregularities. Foundation actually using foundation powder to start masking the face to cover up irregularities so that your face can get a full a straight up consistency. So color in practice, real world applications, warm skin, cool background, one of the most effective portrait techniques. Warming skin tones while cooling the background create natural subject separation without any masking. Muted palettes equals seriousness, desaturating the overall image while preserving skin tone creates gravitas. Editorial, documentary, and fine art photographers use this intentionally. High saturation equals energy. Vivid, full saturated palette reads as energetic, beautiful, and bold, effective for street fashion and event photography. Excuse me. Low saturation equals melancholy, pulling color down towards monochrome, signals introspection, sadness, or quiet. Powerful in portrait documentary work when used with restraint. Everything is to be used with restraint. So now, recommended softwares and their role. Lightroom, raw editing organization, batch editing, masking, fast workflow, Photoshop, detailed retouching, compositing, layers and mask, advanced local correction, object removals. Capture One, strong color control, tethered workflow, layer-based adjustment, advanced color range, masking, and studio workflow. Darktable, free open source. So these are softwares. These are softwares you can use. You can choose to start with either Lightroom or Capture One before entering Photoshop. So Lightroom versus Capture One versus Photoshop. Raw editing. They said Lightroom is excellent. And so please take note of all this so that we don't have to spend much time here. So common mistakes beginners make: over editing, saturation, lifting shadows until the image looks flat, crushing blacks for cinematic look, over sharpening, ignoring white balance. Please, let's take note of these mistakes so that we cannot make it ourselves. 5 more mistakes to avoid: editing without calibrated display. Now, this is what an issue. This is why, look, that saying that they say without that you don't need good gadgets to do good photography. I will tell them, yes, knowledge first, but you need you need good gadgets. You can't be a good editor or a good colorist without having a good screen monitor. And this is why Apple MacBooks are, yeah, are like the very, what will I put it? They are the very best when it comes to editing as photographers. If our top organs in the systems make use of it and have instructed we the younger ones to, this is the way to go. I'm not saying that there are I'm not saying that there are there are no windows that do good work. Even currently, the system I'm using right now that is facing me is a Windows. But on the other hand, I have a Mac. I have a Mac that when I want to go in depth, not as if the Windows can do much. It does so much. It does so much. It's a powerful system. 8 gigabytes of graphics card is a very powerful system, but you must invest in a good screen. So if you're using a system that the screen is not listing, please buy a separate screen monitor, calibrate it, connect HDMI to your screen, then it gives you a good result. That is exactly what I have done. I have a different screen monitor that I get to see what my work, what my color really looks like, truly looks like. Retouching skin until it looks fake, using one preset on every photo blindly, cropping too late in the workflow, not exporting for the for the correct output. I use actions for my work, which I will introduce to you. For my frequency separation, I make use of Retouching Academy. So it's fast for me. But I am very mindful of my ratios so that I achieve good results. So what makes an edit look professional? Believable skin tone, controlled highlights, intentional shadows, subject separation, and color harmony with restraint. So, so a 5 module practical framework. All this we will do in our practical section. So these are practical to build real skills, rescue bad exposure, rescue the bad exposure, 2 modes, 1 photo, natural skin retouch, masking for separation, consistent batch edits. So now this is the final principle of great editing. The best editors do not ask which slider should I move. They ask what should the viewer feel and what is stopping the image from that. then every adjustment becomes purposeful. Every tool in your editing software is a means to an end. The end is always emotional. It is always about the viewer's experience of the image. When you edit with that question in mind, you stop chasing settings and start making intentional, powerful, creative decisions. That is the difference between a technician and an artist. So with this, with this, um, we we are done with the theoretical aspect of this. So I want to quickly play a video for you. You can ask your questions, but however, I want to pull up a video for you. Yeah. So I want to. Is it? No. No, that's internet.
Which what do you want to share them? I can't see the tab. What you don't do well.
No, she didn't do it.
Late.
There is information right there of everything that you see in the canvas right now. And full disclosure, I think we have done it.
Right.
There are anything left, let's zoom in quite a bit here. Do not forget the body. We get so engrossed doing the
That's a good one.
space that we do forget the body. So do not forget it. Okay. There's one. It's going to be a little difficult to remove. There we go. We did it. Okay. There's one over there. It's not a blemish, but now that we have seen it, why to keep it? Okay. Looks pretty good. Let's just turn it off. And let's see how much of a blemish have we removed. So this is the before, this is the after. We have removed the blemishes. Now, we don't need the black and white adjustment layer. Let's go ahead and delete that. Now it's time for us to do frequency separation. Now it's totally upon you whether you want to do dodge and burning after this or before this. I usually do blemishes and then frequency separation, and after that all of those dodging and burning effects and curves and all those crazy stuff. Keep in mind that whatever method you use works for you. To move forward with frequency separation, first off we need to create a stamp visible layer. And here comes the giveaway. We already know how to do frequency separation, the regular method, and how do we usually create the layers, the high frequency and the low frequency layers for frequency separation. If you're not sure how to do that, check this video out. We go step by step on how to do that in that video. However, today I'm going to introduce a plugin that allows you to do it much better and easier and much more efficient way. Alright? My friend Nino Batista gave me that plugin, and full disclosure, he did not pay me, and I'm not paid to say this. He just gave me the plugin and said, hey Unmesh, why don't you try it? I want you to use it. So I used it. I really liked it. And I asked him whether I can gift that away to you guys so that you can also benefit. So there will be 5 winners for this giveaway. So check the description on how to apply for this contest. If in the contest you get the most points, and if you're one of the lucky ones, you will receive a free copy of this plugin. To be able to use the plugin, we need to create a stamp visible layer. And how to do that? You already know the shortcut. Press Ctrl, Alt, Shift and E. Command, Option, Shift and E on a Mac. Alright, so this creates a merged layer of everything that you see in the canvas right now. So let's rename it Flattened. Double click on the text. Flattened. Now because it's a flattened layer of the blemishes and the background. Okay, now to use the plugin, all we need to do, we need to go to Windows and then Extensions. Now once you install the plugin, you'll see it here. That is NBP FreqSep Control. Stands for frequency separation. Alright, now this plugin appears. Now we simply need to increase the radius and keep on increasing it, and as you increase, you will see a real-time preview. Now let's have a look. Half of the side on the right hand side, we have the details. On the left hand side, we will have the colors. Now here's what I do. Keep on increasing the radius to a point where all the skin texture is gone on the left hand side, and you will obviously see the details on the right hand side. The texture that you lose here, you'll see on the right hand side. So you need to find that sweet spot where the skin texture just goes away. don't go too high, because that way you'll have more than the detail on the right hand side. We don't want that, okay? So we'll just stop at the point where the skin texture goes away, and this gives you a real-time preview of what you will get. A little bit of skin texture is still there. You can zoom in. And if you want to control this, you can stop at 7.3. That's okay. You can stop here if you totally want complete control over it. Now, here's the thing. Keep in mind, the higher the value you go, the quicker and easier it will be for you to be able to even out the skin. However, the higher the value you go, the lesser control you will have. For example, if you're at a lower value, okay, you will have more control over evening these intricacies out. However, it will take you a lot of time and skill as well. So, if you go to a higher value, you don't have to control much. So for me, I think I'm going to choose, I don't want to spend a whole day doing this. So I'm going to choose like 8.4, something like that. I'm going to 8.8 is fine for me. Everything is gone. It works. On the right hand side, you can see the texture. Now, the radius is not simply Gaussian blur. They use their proprietary blurring algorithm. Okay. So now here's the detail threshold. You can increase it to preserve the details, but I seldom use it. So as you increase it, see, some of the details are preserved, but I don't use it. I want complete control. Okay, if you want to do it easy and quick, you can just increase it, but I want complete control. I keep the details at 0. Now you see the preview like this. You can change the preview to this, to left and right over there, or you can have any kind of preview, or you can just see the base. Click on the base to just see the base of colors. Click on the details to just see the details. Okay, now once you're ready, once you're satisfied with this, all you have to do, you have to click apply. Simply click apply and you are good to go. You can also control the preview split, which was in the middle. You can control it by using this slide over there, but I don't need it anymore. Now, as you can see, the texture layer and the color layer is automatically created. Now, if you do not want to use the plugin, before you write something in the comments, I'm going to show you how to do that without the plugin as well. So let's just collapse this and just make this invisible for a second, and let's create one more stamp visible layer. So let's create a new layer and let's create stamp visible layer. So once you've created a stamp visible layer, if you don't want to use the plugin, all you have to do, make one more copy of it, okay, by pressing Ctrl or Command J. Now you can name this details or high frequency or whatever, or texture, and you can name this color, the same thing. Okay, now what we have to do, turn off the details. In the color, you have to go to filter, blur, and then Gaussian blur. Okay, do the same thing. Increase the radius to the point where you think all the skin texture is gone. We chose 8.8, right? Hit OK. Okay. Now, it is just that you have to go through a longer process, and the plugin gives you a little more refined results. So I use the plugin, but it's not necessary to use it. You don't have to use it. All right. So once you have the color done, turn on the details. Now let's come to the details layer and then go to image, apply image. Now we need to subtract the color from the stamp visible layer so that we just have the details, right? So I've already discussed this in this video, and there's even one more video on this. So if you want to go more detailed into this stuff, check out this video and all the other videos linked up in the description. Okay, so we need to choose the layer color. So you want to subtract the color, and blending, of course, subtract. Make sure you choose the value to 128. If you want to know why these values, again, check out this video. Okay, so once you have 128, subtract RGB color. We are subtracting the color. Hit OK. So this is the details layer. And then change the blend mode of this one to linear light. Okay, and we have the same thing. You can make a group of both of them. And this is the same thing. Okay, this is the same thing, and this is the same thing. It's just that between these two layers, I've created one more layer where we will just even out the skin. It's the same thing. Have a look. These three. Have a look here. These three. Okay. The plugin makes it faster and the results are refined. Okay, let's turn this on. All we have to do, we have to come to the transitions one, and we can create as many layers as we want. Now, let's simply take the brush. Okay. If you are using a tablet, then I would suggest this. Go to Windows and brush settings, and you can save this brush later. Make sure transfer is checked. Okay, just the transfer. just the transfer, and flow jitter. Make sure this is pen pressure, and this is what I personally use. Opacity, I want to keep it off. Okay, that's what we have to do. Brush tip shape, make sure the hardness is 0 and everything else is fine. So what you have to do, you can select a normal brush or a soft round opacity and flow, or whatever you like. So let's start with a soft round brush. Let me make it for you again right from scratch. Okay, so if you're selecting this brush, go to Windows, brush settings. Okay, make sure just the transfer is checked. Now inside of transfer, flow jitter, pen pressure, and control off. If you are not using a tablet, make sure you're using the soft round brush itself. Make sure the hardness is 0%. And then what we need to do, we need to decrease the flow to somewhere around 3 to 4%. For this, I'm going to go 4% so that you can see the differences very quickly. 3 takes a little time. Okay, so here's what we do. Go to the eyedropper tool here. Make sure the sample is current and below. Also make sure that the sample size is not point sample. It has to be 3 by 3, 5 by 5, 11 by 11, depending upon the resolution and the size of the portrait in your image. What does these mean? See, when you select point sample and then you take a sample, it just takes a sample from that one point pixel. Now, if you move a little bit around that, you might sample a noise pixel, or you might sample a pixel which is very dark from the surrounding areas. You don't want that. So you need to select something like 11 by 11 or 5 by 5. What that does is that it creates a square of 11 by 11 pixels and takes the average color as a sample. So I'm going to choose 11 by 11. That's fine. That works for me. Now, let's zoom in. We need to remove this dark area. So let's come back to the brush. First off, we need to make sure that the settings are right in the eyedropper tool. Let's come back to the brush and then simply sample this by holding the Alt key or the Option key. Click here and start painting over there. Just like so. Okay. Now, to make sure that we don't go crazy here, here's what I personally do. Go to Windows, okay, Arrange, then New Window for whatever the image is. So we have 2 windows for the same document. What we can do now, we can go to Windows, Arrange, to up vertical. So on the right hand side, we have the zoomed out version. Okay, so let's zoom out a bit and just control the border right here. It's good. Now this is the zoomed in version. So whatever changes I make here will be reflected on the right hand side, because sometimes what happens is we might make some retouching, it might look awesome, and then when we zoom out, it looks totally bad. So you want to constantly have the zoomed out version on the right hand side, visible real time, and here on the left hand side, you want to have the zoomed in version. Or you can have vice versa, right and left, doesn't really matter, depending upon what suits you, just to give you an idea. Okay, so what I prefer to do, so in this layer, I'm just retouching this portion of the eye. That way, I'm more confident that if something goes wrong, I'll have to just change this layer. Also, here's one more tip. Turn off the texture layer. It gives you a nice preview of where the unevenness is. And then go forward. See, there's this unevenness. We need to just work on it. Just take sample, holding the Alt key or the Option key, and keep on painting. Just like that. Take sample, paint, take sample, paint. And ask yourself this question. What do you want this area to be painted with? Okay, so for this area, I wanted this area to be brighter because it's facing the light. So I'm sampling from the brighter areas and painting around it. Okay. And we want to erase that red line, so I'm painting over that. Now, I see a lot of flatness over here. So I'll paint sample from the light area, bright area, and then sample here. Paint here, sorry. See this line? We need to get rid of this. Okay. Alright, pretty cool. So we did very quickly this thing. We need to obviously blend this thing nicely. But I'm going to show you the differences. So here's the after and here's the before, after, before, after. Okay, now this is a process which usually takes a little more time. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to retouch it and make the video a little faster for you so that you can see what's happening when. And also I would suggest that while you're retouching, please listen to some good music so that you don't make yourself monotonous. For this image, I think it will take for me 30 to 40 minutes. Let's see how much time it takes, and here we go. So here we are with our results after frequency separation. So here's the before and here is the after. What a massive change. So let me show that to you again. So here is the before, here is the after. Now one thing you might have seen while I was retouching, I also made changes to the texture. So if that was confusing for you, let me show that to you again. Okay, so here's what we did. After you have done all these layers, as you saw in the super fast video, here's what you have to do. Let me just turn that off for you for a second, and let me make a copy for the height texture. Okay, it might have been named differently, but it's the same thing. Okay, and the blend mode was linear light, and let me turn these two off. Just forget these two even exist over there. Okay, they don't exist, forget that. So this was there and all these layers, and at the bottom we had the low color. Okay, and we have
All right, everyone. I don't know how many of us was able to get something out of the video I just played for us right now. As I said, I will make the video available and extra 2 more videos that we could study on retouching. On retouching. Now, I want to say this, please. Hello. Yeah. Um. So I believe we just watched a few things in the video right now. As I said, I assure you that I will make the video available to each and every one of us. So, and I want to say something. Please, if you are using the cracked version of Photoshop, please, I beg of you to begin now to start thinking to upgrade. There are certain features in the cracked version, in the paid version, that you cannot enjoy in the cracked version. Especially for Apple users, you know that once you run your internet on your laptop, the Apple has seen your IP and will disconnect your Photoshop until you go and pay. I don't know if you guys are listening to me. So I guess most of us are running on on cracked versions of Photoshop currently. So that is why certain I'm talking now. Certain editing processes will not be shown. So I beg of us, we should begin now to start working towards upgrading our Photoshop. It is in the new Photoshop that you will enjoy AI at its fullest. At its fullest. I think a month is about a month is $129 or $130. It is something that we need to do if we must be serious in business. It is a necessity if we must show seriousness in business, please. If we must show seriousness, please. So I want to thank each and every one of you that joined this class. I am so grateful for the opportunity to be among you to share what I know, to impact to you, to also share my materials that have helped me, my own journey as a photographer. I want to say, may the good Lord bless each and every one of you and have a blessed evening. Thank you. And I'm playing.
All right, everyone. Thank you all for joining. Please, for those asking questions about joining the group, right? But before then, please a round of applause for the anchor for today's class. You really did a great job. All right, so if you're yet to join the group class, sorry, not the group class, the WhatsApp group rather. Before that, I need to be sure that, because of course I know that most of us that are not in the WhatsApp group are in Telegram group. But if you're not in the WhatsApp group, chat the admin in the Telegram group. and request to join the WhatsApp group, all right? Remember to complete your assignments for the class and the quiz as well. And see you in the next class. Have a good evening.